that kind of stuff. So you see that in the book. But let's say you're not a churchgoer, you're not a believer. You say, that doesn't really make any sense. I know music because I love music. You don't have any specific things, you don't have any preference, you just love music. But the thing is, when we talk about this, we talk about certain things, specific things. We're not talking about everything, make a big pile and then everybody enjoying yourself. No, that's not what we're talking about, okay? There's also the idea of faith. You see people out there, I'm giving you an example because it's in the book. So when you start reading it, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Because you have to understand there are different types of faith, in the Bible. For instance, when you talk about saving faith, all right? And the one that brings you, when you accept Jesus Christ and you believe that God can save you. And you accepted Him as your Lord and Savior. You call that saving faith. Okay? There are other promises in the Bible because the Bible is a book of faith. All right? So there are different aspects of faith in the Bible after you become a Christian. Okay? Like for instance, you see people say, if you believe, you ask Jesus, you did this and then He's going to give you this. And then you see, you're done, you believe, and bang, nothing ever happened. So the first thing you say, you didn't have faith enough. These are false information. The Bible never taught anything about that. The Bible never promises anybody who has faith in Jesus and whatever you need, He give it to you. There is no such promise in the Bible. But yet you have preachers out there that telling people that if you believe, and for instance, you have those who claim they have the power to heal the sick. Right, and then they give going at it, blah 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 blah, blah. You don't heal, and they say, because you don't have faith, you doubt it. No, it's not about that. It's about you telling people false information. There's no guarantee in the Bible that if you pray, somebody's going to heal. Although somebody might get healed, but there's a reason for it. There's a connection. It's not every time you ask for something and then bang, it happens. There's no such thing in the Bible. You have to understand. Okay? It's important that you understand. And then, what else? That's there. I call about these. I call preacher. I call them out. I call them, those faith they have. They call it wishful thinking faith. Something that you wish it can happen. I tell you something that's guaranteed in the Bible. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, thou shalt be saved. That's guaranteed. Doesn't matter who you are. Okay? The other thing also, the Bible says in John chapter 3, verse 18, it said, the reason a person is not this and this or that, all the other things you can come up with, the only reason is because you have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. That's the only thing that keeps you from being saved. Okay? So, and I think a lot of people bring, their own version and all crazy stuff. I heard with my 2 ears, a pastor said that a person can lose a salvation. But it's very interesting the way he said it. And then if you don't have the good information, you believe what he says. Matter of fact, when I was growing up, I know there's some pastors, they never tell people once they're saved forever. They kept that from them. And then when I asked the question, or my friends asked the question, they said, the reason because if you tell them that once saved, they said they can go out there and do all kinds of things, and it becomes a humiliation. It becomes a situation for the church. That the church had to explain themselves all the time. You remember that they also have discipline in church. They hurt people actually in church. I remember there's a friend of mine who grew up in the same place, and their moms were kind of like the person that hold everybody together in the house because she was a woman of God. And something happened, she died. The older son in the house kept the same, ritual, the same, not ritual, I should say, routine, and everything that the mom used to do in the house. And it happened, his little sister had a boyfriend and get engaged, in sexual activities, and then she became pregnant. So now what happened? The deacons of the church decided they're going to make an example out of him. They put him under church discipline because he allowed his sister to get pregnant without, marrying. Can you believe that? But what have to do with the guy? And she was not a kid. She was an adult woman. You follow? She can make her own choice, own decision. Why this guy has to pay for her mistakes? Let me put it this way. I'm not saying being pregnant was a mistake. I'm just saying, in the context of what the church was doing, they consider it as such. So I'm using their own logic. You know what I mean, to say that, but it's not what happened. It was a mistake. You follow? So it has nothing to do with the guy, but yet he had to be punished. He had to be put in church discipline for many months. But that doesn't solve the problem, does it? Anyway, so these are the kind of information that they have out there, and this book was purposely written for this audience and everything. So so there's a lot of other things that are in the book. It talks about sacrifice. There's a chapter that actually have this segment in it about sacrifice. We talk about the idea of a man who has a son who was really sick, and then finally they get to a point where he had to sacrifice himself in order to save his son, because if a son was in very critical medically, critical, there's no way he could have saved the life of his son. And then beside, to tell you the truth, I think I'm giving the book away a little bit. This guy actually, just recently married his wife, and complication in the pregnancy, toward the end of the pregnancy, where during the time when she was in a trimester, but not fully ready yet. She had a situation, they had to undergo surgery, and to save the life of the son, mom had to die. It's a very complicated thing. We talk about that, and you see the sacrifice that happened in there. And not only that, we also have we talk about the ones that are called on duty, the military service, to leave their own country to go fight the war. But when you think about that, they're not fighting for themselves, they're fighting for us. You follow what I'm saying? They're fighting for the sake of us. So when we lose these people, we gain, and they're giving themselves willingly. There's an underlying things that I actually ponder a lot in this segment in this book, where we talk about the spouses. See, sometimes we think that when a soldier, take a bullet during the, on the battlefield, so we honor them. Some of them, they didn't make it, they die. We honor them in their death. And we show their families, how, important these people were for us, and then giving their life for the sake of the country. But one thing that actually being neglected, and so much so, it's because it's the fact that they neglect the spouse who actually lost. The other one who really lost somebody. Well, we look at the country, we're going to remember that. We're going to commemorate it every time. But we're going to forget that person's name. The other one who loses a father, a husband, a brothers and sister and mother, a husband, a grandpa, in the military. They will always remember that person by name. But the country is going to forget their name very soon. But these are the people, the other one, who sacrifice a lot for the sake of the country. But they're the one who neglect. They never get a medal. They never get recognized. The only thing they tell them, sorry for your loss, on behalf of the country, and they give him a flag. Wow. but they sacrifice more. You cannot replace what they give, for the sake of the country. I put that in detail in this book. My friend, you're going to love this book when you read it. I put that in detail in the book. When these people go to war, sometimes those families, they have no idea where and when, the spouse is going to come back, or the special someone. You know what I mean? They don't know. They have no idea. A parent, they have the son going out to war. They have no idea. And they cannot tell them where they go. Why? Because they want to maintain cover depending on the deployment. The reason why they're being deployed. It's very important, very important. And yet, these people, they make the ultimate sacrifice. But what happened? They never, have you ever seen that happen in this country? Where they have a ceremony for the spouses? To honor them for the sacrifice, for giving. Because let's say if the spouse were being selfish, they would not allow their spouse, their husband, their wife, their partner, whoever they are, to go fight a war. And sometimes when they get over there, they can even tell, based on their testimonies, why they are fighting for. You know what I mean? And they gave their life willingly for the sake of us, for the sake of our freedom here. But these people, if they were to fight with their husband or their wife not to go, what would happen? We're not benefited today. But yet they still give, the best they could. They still gave their spouses, their loved ones, to go fight war. They came back. You know what I mean? Or they don't come back. Or you have like a group of people, how they do that when they're coming back from war, and they line up to receive, to welcome their loved ones. And then there's what they see, there's a casket there with a flag over it, and they're crying because they would never see that person alive again. They gave their ultimate sacrifice. But they never been honored. And some of them, I tell you this, I don't want to get too political here, get into details and everything, but some of them you can testify that what I'm telling is the truth. After the loved ones fought the war and they died, they lost. Do you follow what I'm saying? And then they're having difficulty now. Some of them, they are having difficulty to receive a benefit of their loved ones. Pension. It's a lot of crazy stuff happening. But I just want to kind of point this out to you. It's in the book. Got to read it. And then learn from it, and then share with other people with those things. And I go in greater details about some other things, And also we talk about the idea of restoration. So I'm just pointing a few items from the book in the menu, So you know what that is, For those of you who've been rejected, who've been, scorned, and within society, and they don't care about you. They just really kind of put you aside. You who once used to be, once was a very important person in this life, and they put you aside. They scorn you. They, humiliate you every chance they get. God can restore you, or you will actually put yourself in a very difficult predicament. Something that you've done. You waste what you have, like the prodigal son that we studied in the Bible. God can restore you. Anyway, like I said, I'm not here to kind of do lessons or everything or teaching Bible. I'm just only telling you what's in the book and what it is. So I give you an overview, the reason, the title, why the title is written that way. Also give you a little bit of perspective. The audience who I was targeting. You see, even writing, the book has a context in it, because I didn't write the book just yesterday or a few days ago or a few months ago. Been 12 years since this book was written. Okay, so the perspective that I had in that moment was the thing that I was experiencing in that moment. And so right now in 2025, I don't have that same reaction anymore, that same, things that I'm dealing with, but the information in there are very important though. And other than that, I wouldn't publish it. It's very important though. So I don't want this to go to waste. I want you to go to Christian Faith Publishing right now and go and pre-order your copy. You can have all three formats now are available: the e-format, the hardcover, and also the soft cover. You see them? If I bring them close to each other, you can see that. Okay, this is the soft, this is the hardcover. So please pre-order yours so you can have a copy. And like I said, they're good for any things that you want. Gifts for yourself. They're good for Bible study, because the format in the book is very well, shaped, kind of like for study and everything, and also for youth group can study together, or book club. You can discuss those issues that we're talking about. The things that I just discussed a few minutes ago. You can discuss those within yourself. Everybody can share whatever. You can read as you go. Like we're sharing together. This is very important though. And before I go, I think our time is about to expire now. Remember last time when I came, I talked to you about this book. And so this book is Good versus Evil: The Evangelical, the Trump Administration, and the Republican Party from 2016 to 2024. A New Reality of the Evangelical Faith in Politics in America. So that's the title of the book. And you have these two formats: the hard cover of it and the soft cover. You see that? This is the other one. But this is the and also the ebook format also in the available. You can go to Ex Libris. Ex Libris is the publishing company that published this book last year. Earlier this year we published, I should say, and they publish is also since 2021. Okay, but we published the book this year because of the fact that I didn't have the 2024 election preparation to 2024 election. So we covered that period because I was dealing with the administration that came along in power in 2016, the Trump administration. So therefore, I didn't want to leave that that gap there. So I quickly add a few segments in there to cover the period that led to the election of 2024, since 2020 to 2024. Okay, so I cover all that, and also the reason I did that, you see the cover, look at the way it is. So now this is the one that was published in 2021. See that? You see you have the White House here, the Republican Party symbols, and also the church steeple right here. So in the new cover, it doesn't have the church steeple and also the Republican, emblem there. You only see the White House and also the flag, the stripes and everything. Not and behind the back of the book, you see the stars. Okay, so I encourage you to get a copy. Now, you can get this. It's still on Amazon and also on Ex Libris and other online retailers. But the only thing I'm telling you, you're going to miss out the period from 2020 to 24. It doesn't have that in this book. And also I kind of like revise some of those issues in this book that I dealt with since I first published it to this new one where the whole thing has been revised. Okay, so I would encourage you to get this one, the newer version, so that way you can have a better rendition of Good versus Evil. All right, and at the same time, kind of like remind you again to check out other books that are available also online. Remember, this is the first book that I wrote, but that's not the cover of the first one. This is also revised version, 2021. We published also Guilt, Why Guilt After Sex. Remember, I talked to you recently, and I'm talking about every time somebody have sex and then they have guilt. Although that is possible, but that's not what we're dealing with in this book. We're talking about the idea, like I said, when this book was written, we're dealing with sexual sin within the church, that kind of stuff. We're talking about people who are struggling with sexual impurity. Okay, so we give an overview so that you can understand what's going on, and follow with this book called Guilt Free from Sexual Sin. All right, A Life of Pedro. So this is the book that follows the other ones. And this book deals with the idea of marriage, remarriage, homosexuality, same-sex marriage. I can't even say it. And we have other issues. There are also blended family. You know what I mean? And all kinds of things. I think this book dealt with the issue, when I was writing it, with the issue of life in different aspects, as far as relationship between men and women and other type of alternative relationship. Do you follow what I'm saying? So everybody's included, depending where you are on the spectrum. Okay? Nobody's left out. So we should not be afraid of talking about it. Like I said, this book is not a book of condemnation. We're not talking how wrong you are, how bad you are, you know what I mean, how you're going to go to hell. I do not believe if somebody practicing homosexuality, you're going to go to hell. You know why? Because based on what I told you earlier, John 3 verse 18, the only reason the person goes to hell is because they do not believe in the name of the only begotten Son, not because you're homosexual. You follow? So you can rest assured that's not what you're going to read from this book, unless if you have a conception of, oh, I know what this guy is doing. Now they're going to tell these people how bad they are. They're going to go. No, that's not what it is. This is a book actually that comes alongside, because for me, I have my own struggle in life. Many other people, they have different struggle. I do not know exactly what your struggle is, but I sort of go around, trying to give everybody a platform, try to give everybody a chance. You follow what I'm saying? To talk about a relationship. Although I use, biblical principle to teach, but it's not about me making the decision for you. You know what I mean? You're going to have to make your own decision. I cannot lie to you. I don't want to lie to you. You follow? So I think God loves everybody regardless. You follow? I want to tell you that, and this book talks about that. So now what happened? I think that people were struggling with with the idea of having to be now a divorcee. And then they find a desire, even they're not married now, but they're living with someone else. Wow, my friend, do you think I can come along and condemn these people because of what happened? No, who am I to do that? I'm not God. I'm not going to judge people for what happened. And then you might find these people living with somebody that's not married, or somebody that they wish they were married to that person. They're having the best life ever. But what can I say? Do you follow what I'm saying? So we talk about all these things in the Bible. God has his own, principle, a path that he lays out before us. Do you follow? He's the judge, not me. I'm not going to go to kind of like they'll hit you with a hard on the head to let you know this is, what God's not going to punish you for something. I'm sure that's not your fault. Matter of fact, you need grace in order to cope with the situation you have. Do you follow what I'm saying? So check this book out. It's not about condemning people. I don't do that. Thank God if you're not in a situation where you feel like you are neglected, you are left alone, but you want somebody to come alongside to, to mourn with you, to kind of like live the life with you, and not necessarily having everything, joyful, because there are people, they're in pain, emotionally, physically, in all kinds of ways. Struggle, all kinds of things. You follow? Then the other book, this is not the last actually, it's Things to Know Before Marriage. So I encourage you to get yours. Like I said, these books are very good for good gifts. If you have somebody, as a matter of fact, I've done that. Somebody I know that has a brother who's going to get married, and then he purchased a copy of this book to send it to his brother because he thinks that his brother might need this book. There are certain things you don't know. I'm not talking about things that you already know, things you probably don't know. You follow what I'm saying? There's another perspective that you might look. I'm not giving you an example about people who have like 50, 20, 70, 80 years of marriage, and oh wow, and then clap for them. Yeah, this is great. You know what I mean? But they didn't make it to 50 years, to 30, whatever, just like that. They have up and down everything. And there are so many things we can learn from them, you know what I mean, as far as their lives. But that doesn't mean your marriage is going to be exactly theirs. Every marriage is unique. You know what I mean? There's no marriage going to be another marriage of somebody else. No. It's going to be your own marriage. You know? So I give some perspective, some true story in this book, and some principle for, because this book is divided in two. One of them actually a part of it is for men's only, and the other part of it is for women's only. You know, so I encourage both of you to read them. And this book can be used specifically for marriage counseling. I mean, I'm talking about not necessarily marriage counseling, but I forgot the name of it. The preparation that you made before you get married with your pastor. You know, I mean, you go to sessions of meeting together, and you study, and you know, so you know exactly what you're going to get into. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So this book can be really good for that. And also, like I said again, Bible study, small groups ministry, and also youth ministry. All of you guys, depending what you're doing out there, missionaries also can use this book to be a good help, a good guide, helping in their teaching. Matter of fact, all the books right here can be used for that, so that you can use them for your ministry and help advance, you know, the cause of Christ and His teaching on the ground. So the focus today is learn to lose a little, and to get a little bit, to get much more in return. My mind started to get tired right now. Understand the law of reciprocity. So check Christian Faith Ministry, CFP, to pre-order, and I'm sure for certain, and this book will be out next month and will be placed on major online retailers, bookstores, you know what I mean? And so this is something that be discussion, how you're going to find this book in some of the stores around the country and around the world. I'm not sure exactly how and when that's going to happen, but I guarantee you, you can order online and everything. But now, should I have any events close by, I would announce it as we go. We are preparing for that, and we hope that God give us the opportunity to do so. We can meet some of you in person, and some questions, and I'll be able to sign your book for you, your copy. And so, my friend, what a privilege was for me to meet with you today, to discuss about this. And I wish that I can make everything go, you know, very easy for all of us, but unfortunately we all have struggles, and this is what this life is all about. And that's the whole purpose of books like this book right here, and all the ones that I've showed you, and some other books out there. I'm not the only one in the game, if I can put it this way. So we are here to come alongside to encourage you, to give you some perspective when you have things in your life that are really tough, really difficult, you don't know what to do. And then God can use those books and those information in there, so they can help you to actually solidify again your faith, your strength, your passion, I would say, in serving God and God. And I know there's a lot of pastors out there who are very discouraged. And such as myself, I've been really discouraged about a lot of things I've seen happening out there that I don't understand. I cannot do anything about it except seeing them happening. Now, I understand also my work was not actually to fix the problem and to do, but at least there are certain things that I can do in contribution to make things to be better for people. And so that's what happened. And you need encouragement too. You need people to come alongside of you, to put their arm around you, and to encourage you, to keep you, to pray for you, to to do the best they can to help you to live this life. There will be a time, my friend, that we will not be no more in this planet. As far as I can tell to where you're going to be, I do not know. See, this is the truth. The only thing I know that there's a time appointed for all of us to go. So we discuss about all these things in the book also. I hope and trust that you will get a copy. What else there left to say? Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come to your home and wherever you're watching. And I pray that you well and your family until we meet again. Check this out. Have a wonderful day, my friend, and we'll see you again. Write me if you want to Sit and Talk Ministry 1 at gmail.com. Remember, Sit and Talk Ministry, the number 1, and at gmail.com. So I'll be glad to answer your questions and your comments. Please be gentle. I accept your critics, whatever it may be, but be gentle. Don't be so harsh unto me, because there's no need for it to do that. We welcome, your criticism, to constructive criticism, I should say, but help us, okay?